Thanks, Tyler, and thank you for tuning in to the Amherst Weekly Report. Hello, and welcome to the Amherst Weekly Report from Amherst Media. I'm Olivia Capriati.
And I'm Karan Chaudhary. The Amherst Town Council is pursuing a state legislation that will allow a reparations initiative for black residents. The legislation aims to end structural racism and achieve racial equity. Town councillors voted 12-0 last week to work with their legislative delegation in order to obtain money and other benefits that can be given out to people of African heritage. District 1 Councillor Michelle Miller said that the drafting of a home rule petition is the most successful outcome that would benefit a special minority population. Two other ways of doing reparations were suggested by town attorney K.P. Law. One way would include contributing to a non-profit organization that aids targeted communities. The other would be to fund a community development corporation to develop affordable housing for low and moderate income families. However, in these two instances, the reparations would go to a larger population than currently intended by the town council. The council initially voted in June 2021 to establish the Reparation Fund and to create the African Heritage Reparation Assembly. Since its creation, $206,000 have been put into the fund.
The Holyoke St. Patrick's Day race took place this past Saturday after 2 years. Runners from all over New England took to the streets for the 45th iteration of the 10K road race. Nearly 3,000 registered runners and 1,200 walkers completed the course Saturday afternoon. The Shriners Mummers played for the crowd before the race began to kick off the event that has not taken place since before the pandemic. The length of the race has varied over the years. The first one in 1976 was 7.9 miles and ranged from that length to as high as 8.5 miles before the standard 10K length of 6.2 miles was formally established.
Springfield native Michael D. Smith was recently appointed by President Joe Biden to lead AmeriCorps, a federal agency for service and volunteerism. He is the 8th CEO of AmeriCorps and started officially in January of 2022. As a previous member of the Boys and Girls Club in Springfield, Smith believes that his time there has shaped his beliefs and helped to get him where he is today.
A 2021 Hampshire College graduate has recently won the top prize in the One Earth Young Filmmakers Contest. Tim DeBlois created the film titled Endangered, about the threat to bees from the use of pesticides and other pollutants. The 4-minute stop-motion film tells the story of what is sometimes known as colony collapse disorder. As a farmer sprays pesticides on his garden, foraging bees get covered in it and therefore bring back the poison to their hive. The film concludes with the farmer reading news about the extinction of bees. Over the course of 7 months, DeBlois built sets, used materials like foam and aluminum foil to make puppets, and animated with his hands to make a stop-motion film. The film is shot in 24 frames per second, resulting in roughly 5,760 pictures taken by DeBlois to make the film. This is not the first film by DeBlois, as he has made stop-motion comedy films before. However, his motivation for this film was to create something more serious and educational. He believes the topic of bees is not talked about as much as it should be, and he hopes that his film, quote, can inspire even just one person to learn how they can do better to help the planet. The first place prize in the postgraduate level was $1,000, along with the donation of the same amount to a nonprofit of the winner's choosing. DeBlois decided on the Arbor Day Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to planting trees.
Sunshine Week, March 13th and 19th, promoted a dialogue about the importance of open government and freedom of information. The name itself is attributed to U.S. Supreme Court Justice Louis C. Brandeis, who once famously said, quote, sunlight is said to be the best of disinfectants. An informed citizenry is the best check against government corruption. This is the very idea behind open meeting laws and the Freedom of Information Act. It stands for empowering people through information. Freedom of Information, or Sunshine Laws, opens up the government and empowers people through information. The Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism published a report last fall which analyzed the polarization in the United States. The report identified the most contentious issues such as gun legislations and vaccines. According to a 2020 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, Political polarization among Americans has grown rapidly during the last 4 decades. These topics have been in discussion for long, especially the vaccine efficacy and mandates through the pandemic. This is where the transparency or sunshine laws come into action. The transparency allows the citizens to access public information and the data points within. Wherever we land on these issues, these laws guide us to better form our debates and formulate our understanding about the government.
Shadows persist. Many record request deadlines are often ignored due to inadequate staffing, and these requests backlog results in delays. Citizens are closed off from public meetings, which deters the flow of information, which is crucial for an informed citizenry. These limitations impact us all. It impacts our debates, our understanding of the government, and the role our legislators play in our lives. When it comes to transparency, we are all stakeholders. So here's what you can do to emphasize on the importance of Sunshine Week. Contact your state representative to discuss your respective public records and open meeting laws. Support your local newsroom since they are at the front lines of obtaining government information on your behalf despite the challenges they face through the process. If making a public records request is something that you are interested in, visit neafc.org/FOI guide for video tutorials. Use your right to access to engage in fact-based conversation within your community. Thoughtful debate about serious issues is integral to our democracy, as stated by the authors of the Annenberg study, but overcoming these issues is a lot more difficult when these issues are viewed through a distorted lens. These sunshine laws are integral to our democracy and to thoughtful debate, how we view our government and how it should lead its path ahead. These laws need to be protected and strengthened. Stronger access laws correlate to a stronger democratic society, since we are all stakeholders. Now, here's Tyler Berlaldi with this week's sports report.
Thanks, Olivia. 'Tis the season for championship trophies, as UMass hockey finally secured their second consecutive Hockey East championship, capping off a year of ups and downs with a long-awaited victory over UConn. The Minutemen would win in the Garden in an overtime thriller, with Aaron Bollinger kicking off the celebration with a goal at 3 minutes and 6 seconds in the period. Bobby Trevino scored UMass's singular regulation point, while UConn was held to just 1 overall. The season isn't over for UMass just yet, however, as this victory secures them a spot in the NCAA tournament with a final record of 22-12-2, where they'll face Minnesota on Friday, March 25th in Worcester. With the location being so close to home, the Minutemen will need all the support they can get as they embark on this road to championship glory. The first champions on campus, UMass women's basketball, entered their first NCAA tournament in over 20 years against Notre Dame on Saturday, where they would fall 78-89. Despite the loss, Sam Breen capped off her exceptional season with a career-high 31 points, with Sydney Taylor following suit, as usual, with 21 of her own. Overall, the Minutewomen finished with a final record of 26-7, the most wins in franchise history. On top of this, they became the first UMass women's basketball team to win the A-10 championship, while aforementioned star Sam Breen became the first UMass player to win the A-10 Player of the Year honor. Hopefully, this star-studded cast can capitalize on this momentum next season as they attempt another push for the NCAA tournament. Amherst College women's basketball found themselves in the NCAA tournament as well, albeit for Division III, making it all the way to the semifinals against Wisconsin Whitewater. The contest was an absolute nail-biter, delivering a back-and-forth affair with each team outscoring their opponent in every other quarter. In the end, however, Wisconsin Whitewater secured the victory 55-51, sending the Mammoths back home in their 9th consecutive semifinals appearance. Dani Valdez led the team with 14 points in her final collegiate game, as Anling Vera followed close behind with 12 of her own. The Mammoths finished their season 25-4, falling just short of their national championship aspirations. Moving on to UMass baseball, the team held their home opener against Holy Cross on Tuesday, falling 6-17 in the matchup and placing them at 6-6-1 on the season. Grad student Colin Shapiro scored a 2-run RBI homer, while fellow grad student Cole Hebel led the team with 2 hits of his own. The game began relatively competitive before Holy Cross jumped to a massive lead in the 6th inning, scoring 7 unanswered runs and bringing their lead to 14-5. UMass will have to keep their heads high, however, as they will face Towson in a 3-game series this weekend, starting this Friday at 2 p.m. in Maryland. Back to you, Olivia.
Thanks, Tyler, and thank you for tuning in to the Amherst Weekly Report from Amherst Media. I'm Olivia Capriati.
And I'm Karan Chaudhary. We'll see you again at the same time next week.